Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Hedera and HBAR. And before we fully jump on in, I just want to ask to all those HBAR barians out there, how are you guys feeling? How are you guys doing? I'm sure that a lot of you guys are probably excited. When we go to the top 24-hour movers, we do see a few here, but one of them is HBAR, and on the 7-day span, we are up about 34%. We are all the way up into the top 26 now. I remember when we were barely scratching the surface of the top 30, and now we just smashed above some of the largest projects out there, and we continue to move up the ranks. So now it's getting pretty exciting, and you can actually see this because trading volume is actually up a significant amount. And on the 1 month chart, you can see this incredible chart from about roughly 4.5 cents all the way up to about 9.5 cents, hitting almost 10 cents on the 24-hour span. Sorry. Now, one thing that I would love to note, and one thing that I would love to give you guys a quick insight on, is from my video from yesterday. So what we were looking at was on the weekly. We were starting to break out here, and I was like, okay, well, now we need to have this higher continuation. We need to break out of like 9.5 cents, right around the same resistance zone that we were at back in January of 2021 before we ran all the way to 40 plus cents. And now we are hitting a significant area of interest, which is not only are we targeting 10 cents, which, yes, we did back here in the summer as well. But we are also hitting the 50 weekly EMA, which is that orange line there. We are peaking over it slightly. But what I would love to note real quick on the macro is the RSI. Now, I don't like to just utilize RSI as oh yeah, we're going to do this because the RSI is showing this. No. But our RSI is at a significant area. This has been an area that we've seen going all the way back to, let's go look at this, the all-time high of September, practically around the same range. And we also seen this during the runs back in January of 2021, where we started to see this breakout. Which means if we are starting that same exact move, now I hate to utilize bars graphs, but we're going to look at this real quick. We could potentially see and start seeing a price move very similar to that time frame where we do hit that significant resistance zone yet again at 44 cents if we start to continue to see volume flood into HBAR. Now, are we going to see this overnight? Not necessarily, but this is what I would personally like to see. Us kind of flip that 10-cent zone into support, have that higher continuation, and just continue to push the volume up. Now, with that, we definitely need to continue to watch volume on the lower time frames. I personally love looking at the 4 hour here. On this 4 hour, we are not seeing an incredible amount of volume, but it is still good. We are still seeing that higher continuation of volume mixed with price action, which is great to see. Now, one thing that I would also love to note here is that when we go and look at like the 3-day span, there is a significant wall of resistance still for us to continue that higher price action move. I've also been looking at the 200 3-day EMA, but this looks great. If we can get a weekly candle close over this level that we are at essentially and have like a 10 plus cent close, that would be a very strong signal that we are going to have that higher continuation. I've also been looking at the 5 days. You guys are probably all aware from the video from yesterday. On the 5-day span, we are starting to see volume turn green after having this massive wave of red for a while, and it really started to turn green back in the beginning of January, and we had that continuation of green volume. So I would love to see something where we have a strong amount of volume gained like we seen back in January all the way to around roughly May. And when we start to see that real red deep dip on like the volume tab here, that's when I get a little bit concerned. But we have not seen that, and I do believe that we're not going to see that for a little bit of time here. And I've also been looking at the HBAR Bitcoin price chart. While all this is very exciting, I want to see the Bitcoin price chart break out of this 468 sat level from my video from yesterday that I did mention. But the weekend is here. The weekly candle close is here. So now we continue to watch and analyze the overall market moves, especially with what HBAR is going to continue to do. But things are getting exciting. And I think it's because a lot of people are finally realizing the potential and the power behind Hedera. First off, I want to let you guys know that Saucer Swap Labs just announced that HBAR rewards will be extended to Saucer Swap farms indefinitely. So this is great, especially for yield and liquidity and DeFi purposes. And remember what I talked about in yesterday's video. I actually analyzed the TVL. Yeah, today we seen a massive spike in TVL. So this is what we were looking at in yesterday's video. We were looking at about roughly $142.36 million, almost 150 some million dollars in TVL. And today we are sitting at $174.87 million. In the last 24 hours, this is up 20, almost 3%. We are at the equivalent of almost 2 billion HBAR. This is absolutely insane. Now, compared to all chains, yes, we are still gaining on this list. We are surpassing quite a bit of big players out there, as you guys do see on the list down here. And as I said even yesterday, our target point is quarter numbers here. So we are targeting that $250 million TVL area next. And we're hoping to get that. And I have been paying attention to TVL volume for a while because this is a big, big area of interest, especially if you think that there's a lot of volume into HBAR. Remember what I said about TVL? TVL allows for a lot of market participants to jump into Hedera, stake and lock up their HBARs, utilize their HBARs, and it's a huge opportunity to allow for network effects to prosper. Now, also within this, we've been looking at the metrics. On the last 1 hour span, we are seeing TPS continuing to be a major demand zone, but also accounts. Accounts are going like they're going parabolic right now. In the last 1 week, for an example, check out the total accounts, the created accounts, and then also the active accounts. This is very exciting. This is showing that we are seeing a ton of network growth, network activity, and also interest on the 1 month span. This is a clear sign that we are seeing a very large movement of individuals very excited about what Hedera is doing. HBAR is trending all day long over on Twitter, and it's for good measure. And the funny thing is that when we look at the transactional demand here, this is only just beginning. The move on HBAR as well and price is just beginning. Long term, short term, whatever happens, yeah, could we have pullbacks? Yes, could we have, a deep drop yet again in this market? 100%. But whatever happens going forward, I want you all to realize that everyone's going to know the Hedera name. In fact, as we focus on a lot of these big use cases being built out on Hedera, some of my favorite ones like Neuron, for example, are changing the overall game on how companies in the real world utilize this technology. For an example, here's a tweet from Neuron. So Bitcoin pioneered proof of work blockchains, where proof of burning electricity was used to secure the network. The next generation of blockchains, such as Neuron, will be doing proof of real work. PORW. Electricity will be used to power sensors, chargers, and hotspots. For those purists, we use the word blockchain because that is what people understand. We are really talking about Web3 / decentralized technologies, which can be the subject to a lot of gossip. And yeah, Neuron is built on Hedera. This is one of the most interesting use cases that are being built out on Hedera as well, because what I've said about Neuron is that this company could essentially create billions on top of billions of transactions per day. And this is a big use case that we've been following for a while. If you guys have been a big fan of the channel, if you have been, comment down below because I'd love to hear from you guys, but also hit that like button if you haven't already. But with that, we also focus on some other huge use cases being built out on Hedera, like for example, Mtech. Mtech is sourcing the power and the potential of Hedera to create the next evolution of finance. For an example, here's their latest blog talking about startups continue to face challenges such as extended product time to market, increased competition from monopolies, and uneven playing fields for startups, increased barriers to entry as requirements from regulators. Mtech is actually powering the regulation side of things for CBDCs, for tokenization, stable coins, things like that. Mtech is actually a big big focus point and has been a focus point of mine since around May of 2021, when we first seen the announcement that they were working with Hedera. And ever since, I have not stopped looking at what Mtech is doing because I think that this is one of those direct links. This is also one of those, puzzle pieces that you can kind of piece together and say, okay, yeah, Mtech is doing some big things. Hedera is going to be a part of it, and it really kind of puts together into a great picture form on just how big of an opportunity we have in front of our faces when we look at what Hedera is doing and we look at the power and the potential of HBAR. Also, with all of this in mind, we also focus on some of the bigger use cases that still have yet to go live on Hedera because with Atma, funny enough, like here's a tweet from Tom Johnson over on Twitter. Now, when we look at this, he's talking about Atma and how they utilize MCP for food supply tracking. They only use Hedera for C tracking and are still cranking 500 TPS. MCP is sunsetting. Fresh Supply Co., the biggest user of MCP, is moving to Hedera. Prediction: Atma expands use of Hedera to include food supply tracking, adding big TPS. And the ultimate dream is that all of these moves, sunset MCP, add payment rails to Hedera, transition Hedera into existing MCP models, and coordinate as a lead up to, into MC joining the GC. Just hoping and guessing. Now, this would be Mastercard. Mastercard is a big one. When we look at that, for an example, this is Mastercard Provenance. It is a private permission blockchain that Mastercard is sunsetting. Now, if this is going to utilize Hedera, which we've talked about the possibility of that actually being a thing, this would be a huge advantage for Hedera in terms of the TPS range. But also, it would make perfect sense because a lot of what Hedera has been focused on is the trust around track and trace technology. That has been the big focus since day one when we initially found Hedera. Supply chains, right? Supply chains is like a huge opportunity for blockchain, especially to improve the efficiencies, reduce fraud, and introduce traceability. When we look at this on page 112 of their white paper with GBB Council, we could see Hedera down here tackling counterfeit drugs and goods on the supply chain with AVC. So AVC Global offers the next generation intelligent supply chain platform that maximizes efficiencies, eliminates fraud, and ensures the quality of goods, protecting both producers and consumers. And when we looked at this use case in the past, we've talked about how big this is because this is going to be focused on the pharmaceutical industry. This is going to track and trace all of those transaction records. Again, these are the use cases that will promote billions of transactions a day because everything, as it's moving in real time, track and trace, will be crucial for all asset classes. And they even mentioned that down here that this has allowed the team to look beyond pharmaceuticals and apply the use of its Hedera consensus service based platform to track and trace and customs processing of all asset classes such as oil and gas. And there's even other ones as well, humanitarian aid, precious metals, etc. Like, this is truly a massive opportunity. In real time, you will see everything track and traced. And this is just beginning. Like, these use cases are an absolute game changer. That's why when we take a look at like the network activity now off of just one enterprise grade use case, like this kind of puts it into perspective just how big the network will be when we have two, three, four, maybe five. And it also puts into perspective the fact that like most of these other leading blockchain technologies out there and other projects that, say in quotation marks, hey, we have enterprises utilizing our network. Like, where's the TPS to back that? Show me the TPS on your network because I'd love to see that because this is what real world use case looks like. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys have more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, hope that you all have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this before. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.